Long before clocks or written calendars, our ancestors mapped the heavens with stone. Their mysterious stone enclosures hold a forgotten key to the cosmos. By the end of this journey, you will understand how ancient cultures across the globe independently built complex observatories to track the sun, moon, and stars. We will uncover why a 5,000-year-old tomb in Ireland was designed to capture a single beam of light, and how a desert ridge in Peru functions as a precise solar calendar. What hidden connection to the sky do you feel is still waiting to be discovered? These silent stone sentinels stand as a testament to a forgotten science, one born from a fundamental human need to comprehend the turning of the world. This discipline, now called archaeoastronomy, seeks to unravel how our ancestors perceived the heavens. Their observations were not born of mere curiosity, but from a profound interdependence with the cosmos. The sun's journey dictated when to plant and when to harvest. The moon's phases measured the passage of time and signaled the coming of tides. The stars provided a constant, rotating map in the night sky. This knowledge was so vital it became woven into the very fabric of their spiritual beliefs and daily survival. The structures they built were far more than simple temples or gathering places. They were sophisticated instruments of stone, designed to capture specific celestial events with breathtaking accuracy. Imagine a community that has spent generations watching the sun's shifting path along the horizon. They notice that it only reaches one specific northernmost point each year and one southernmost. They mark these days, the solstices, as moments of immense power when the sun seems to pause before returning. Building a monument that frames the rising sun on the summer solstice required decades, even centuries, of careful observation and record-keeping. This was not a task for a single lifetime, but a project that spanned generations, a legacy of knowledge passed down and physically embedded into the landscape. It fused practical necessity with a deep, reverential awe for the forces that governed their world. This foundational understanding transforms a pile of old rocks into a complex calendar, a community center, and a profound statement about humanity's place in the universe. With this lens of archaeoastronomy, we can begin to truly see the genius encoded in these ancient stones. The silent, weathered stones of Stonehenge rise from the English plain as a colossal puzzle. This iconic circle is far more than a ring of monoliths. It is a sophisticated astronomical instrument carved from rock. Its primary axis is a celestial arrow, pointing directly to the spot where the sun crests the horizon on the longest day of summer, and conversely, to where it sinks on the shortest day of winter. This alignment was not accidental. It was the culmination of generations of precise observation, a communal project that demanded an intricate understanding of the solar year. But the sun was not their only concern. The surrounding ring of pits known as the Aubrey holes reveals an even deeper knowledge. Researchers propose these pits could have been used with marker stones to track the moon's complex dance, predicting its extreme standstills and even forecasting lunar eclipses across an 18-and-a-half-year cycle. This implies a level of astronomical foresight that seems almost impossible for a society without written records. The mystery deepens with the smaller bluestones, hauled over an incredible distance from the mountains of Wales. Their specific geological properties suggest they were chosen for more than just their color, perhaps believed to hold unique acoustic or even healing energies, weaving a thread of spiritual belief into the fabric of this cosmic clock. The sheer scale of its construction, a project that unfolded over 1,500 years, speaks to its foundational role in that ancient society. It was a calendar, a temple, and a testament to humanity's enduring drive to comprehend the cosmos. This legacy of stone and sky stretches far beyond England's shores. Far to the north, in the rolling landscape of Scotland, another granite sentinel tells a different, yet equally compelling celestial story. Rising from the Isle of Lewis like ancient granite giants, the Callanish stones form a complex cross against the vast Scottish sky. This is not a simple circle, but a sprawling stone cross with a central avenue and radiating arms, a design that seems to embrace the horizon itself. At the heart of this arrangement stands a single, towering monolith over 15 feet tall, acting as the focal point for a celestial event of extraordinary patience. Every 18.6 years, the moon reaches its most extreme southern rising point, a slow, majestic cycle known as a lunar standstill. On these rare nights, the moon does not climb high into the sky, but instead appears to glide along the very edge of the world, its light skimming the landscape. From the central stone, an observer would see this low-slung moon perfectly framed at the end of the long stone avenue, a ghostly orb tracing a path that had been predicted and marked in stone for centuries. The local legends whisper of a shining one who walked this very avenue at dawn, a being of light. It is a powerful thought that this story could be a folk memory passed down for generations of that mesmerizing lunar dance. Yet the builders of Callanish were not solely devoted to the moon. The site's unique layout also captures key sunrises, particularly around the equinoxes, revealing a culture that tracked both the steady sun and the more elusive moon. This dual focus represents a sophisticated fusion of astronomy and landscape architecture, where myth and precise observation became one. How did they come to understand a cycle that takes nearly a lifetime to complete? This profound connection to the sky is echoed in a different form on a windswept Irish hillside, where a 5,000-year-old tomb captures a single, precise beam of light. On the green hills of Ireland's Boyne Valley, a great grassy mound holds a secret 5,000 years old. This is Newgrange, a passage tomb built centuries before the pyramids of Egypt or the great stones of Stonehenge were raised. Its most stunning feature is not its immense size, but a small, ingeniously designed slit above the main entrance known as the roof box. For the rest of the year, this opening sits in darkness, but for a few precious mornings around the winter solstice, something miraculous happens. As the sun crests the distant horizon, a single, narrow beam of light pierces through the roof box. It travels down the long, dark passageway, reaching the deepest inner chamber, where it illuminates the ancient stones for a brief 17 minutes. In the heart of the darkest time of year, this was a dramatic, guaranteed symbol of light's return, a cosmic promise of rebirth engineered into the very architecture. The spirals and circles carved on the massive entrance stone may map the cycles of the sun and moon, a permanent stone language we are still learning to read. This was not a public spectacle, but a private, profound moment witnessed by only a few inside the sacred chamber, connecting them directly to the turning of the cosmos. The precision required to achieve this alignment, to capture the lowest sun of the year with such accuracy, speaks of a society that watched the skies for generations, turning their observations into a permanent feature of the landscape. The journey of these celestial ideas now takes us across the sea, to a French site where the stones were arranged on a scale that dwarfs even the most famous circles. In the quiet fields of Brittany, the Carnac alignments present a spectacle of staggering ambition. Over 3,000 standing stones stretch across the landscape in parallel rows, some lines running for kilometers in near-perfect order. This is not a single circle but a sprawling complex of avenues and enclosures, a monument on a scale that dwarfs even Stonehenge. Walking among these silent granite sentinels, you cannot help but feel the sheer weight of collective effort they represent. The dominant theory is that these massive rows functioned as a colossal calendar, a terrestrial map of the sky. Specific stones appear to align with the solstice sunrises and sunsets, while others may have tracked the moon's more complex cycles. The entire site could have served as a vast educational tool, where generations learned to read the heavens and predict the turning of the seasons, knowledge absolutely vital for planting, harvest, and the very rhythm of community life. This was likely a regional center of immense importance, a place where people gathered for ceremonies that synchronized their society with the cosmos. Yet the full purpose of each individual alignment remains one of archaeology's great puzzles, a silent code inscribed across the French countryside. From this grand, open-air classroom of stone, we find a shift in scale and mystery with a much smaller, more intimate circle nestled in the Welsh hills. Perched on a Welsh hilltop, the stones of Bryn Cader erupt from the earth like a jagged crown. Its slender pillars of stone radiate outwards from a central mound, a stark and dramatic silhouette against the sky. While it lacks the grand scale of Carnac, its location is a statement in itself, chosen for an unobstructed, 360-degree view of the horizon. This was not a place built to be hidden, but one designed to connect with the vast dome of the heavens above. The specific spacing between its slender stones may have once marked key solar or lunar events, a local calendar for the pastoral communities who lived and worked in these hills. Centuries of erosion and the loss of some stones have clouded its original precision, leaving its exact celestial code just out of reach. Yet its very form, this crown of thorns, speaks to a deep ritual significance. It was likely a focal point for a community whose lifeblood was its herds, a place to mark the seasons of lambing and migration, synchronizing their lives with the cycles of the sun and moon. Bryn Cader reminds us that not all ancient observatories were colossal enterprises. Some were intimate, local, and intensely personal, their genius encoded in a unique and powerful design. This diversity of form continues as we journey to the north, where a Scandinavian site reveals an entirely different cultural expression of the very same sky. A ship of stone sails across a Swedish headland, its hull built from 59 massive boulders. This is Stones, a Viking Age monument dating to around 600 AD, where the lines between burial ground, celestial map, and spiritual vessel blur completely. The entire structure is a ship, an immense 67-meter-long outline pointing precisely north to south, but some researchers see more than just a compass in its form. They propose that the specific stones at the ship's bow and stern act as sightlines, framing the rising sun on the summer solstice and its setting on the winter solstice. This would transform the monument into a solar calendar, a permanent marker of the year's turning points. The ship itself is the key to understanding this fusion of astronomy and belief. In Norse cosmology, the ship was a powerful symbol of the soul's final journey across the waters to the afterlife. By aligning this symbolic vessel with the sun's most powerful moments, the community wove celestial guidance directly into their memorial practices. It suggests a belief that the same sun which governed their lives and seasons also illuminated the path for those who had passed on. This site beautifully demonstrates how astronomical knowledge was not separate from spiritual life, but deeply embedded within it, providing comfort and meaning through an understanding of cosmic cycles. Stone stands as a powerful testament to the continuity of this sky-watching tradition well into the Iron Age, showing that the drive to connect heaven and earth remained as strong as ever. This thread of celestial knowledge now leads us to the sun-drenched islands of the Mediterranean, where an entirely different culture expressed a similar fascination with the cosmos. On the sun-scorched island of Malta, the Almendres temple complex rises from the limestone plateau as a testament to a culture's profound dialogue with the heavens. This masterpiece of megalithic architecture, built over 1,000 years beginning around 3600 BCE, is so precise in its alignments it feels like a clockwork of stone. The most stunning of these is in the lower temple, where the builders engineered a perfect equinox marker. On the mornings of the spring and autumn equinox, when day and night are of equal length, the first golden rays of the sun pierce the main doorway like a laser. This beam travels across the dark interior to strike a specific, decorated central slab, a moment of dramatic illumination that could only occur with generations of meticulous solar observation. But the temple's genius does not end there. Other carefully placed apertures and alignments within the complex are thought to frame the rising sun on the solstices, and some researchers suggest certain openings may have even tracked important stars. The architecture itself speaks of a highly sophisticated society, featuring corbelled roofs that have survived for millennia and walls of immense, perfectly fitted stones. This was far more than a simple calendar. It was a sacred theater where the cosmos performed on a schedule written in rock. These temples were the heart of seasonal rituals and community gatherings, a place where the island's unique culture synchronized its agricultural and spiritual life with the undeniable rhythm of the sky. The silent, sun-bleached stones of Almendres offer a powerful glimpse into a lost island world that measured time not in days, but in the sun's slow dance across the horizon. This tradition of building celestial order into the landscape was not confined to islands, as the next chapter of our journey reveals on the Iberian Peninsula. The rolling plains of Portugal hold a monument of profound endurance, the Almendres Cromlech. This is not a single structure, but a layered chronicle of stone, the largest stone circle in all of the Iberian Peninsula. Its story unfolds across millennia, beginning with an oval ring of monoliths raised by early farming communities. Centuries later, a new generation added a second circular enclosure, expanding and transforming the sacred space. This long-term development reveals a site that was not abandoned but continuously revered, a focal point for regional gatherings and ceremonies for thousands of years. The stones themselves whisper of their purpose, many engraved with mysterious cup marks and radiating lines that some researchers believe acted as fixed sight lines for tracking the sun and moon. The entire complex is deliberately oriented, with its main axis pointing toward the sunrise on the equinoxes, those 2 days of perfect balance each year. Other alignments likely captured the rising sun on the summer solstice, weaving the most critical moments of the solar year directly into the architecture. Almendres was far more than a calendar. It was a long-term investment in a landscape that bound the community to the cosmos, a permanent anchor for their rituals and their understanding of time itself. This deep human impulse to build in harmony with the heavens was not unique to the Old World. A similar, yet utterly distinct, story was unfolding across the Atlantic, where ancient American cultures were carving their own astronomical wisdom into the very flesh of the earth. Across the Mississippi River, the great city of Cahokia thrived 1,000 years ago, a bustling metropolis of mounds and plazas. Here, the people did not build with stone, but with towering posts of red cedar, creating a series of immense circular calendars known today as the Woodhenges. From the exact center of the largest circle, an observer would witness a celestial spectacle on the morning of the equinox. The sun would crest the horizon directly over a specific, carefully placed post, its light framed perfectly by the wooden sentinel. This was not a passive observation but the very engine of a vast community, a solar clock that dictated the rhythm of life. The precise alignment of these posts marked the solstices and equinoxes, signaling the critical times for planting maize, for harvest, and for the great communal ceremonies that unified the society. Imagine the power of that moment when a priest or sun watcher at the center confirmed the sun's position, and the news would ripple outward through the city, setting in motion the agricultural and spiritual cycle for the entire season. The largest of these wooden circles stretched an incredible 410 feet across, a project requiring the coordinated labor of the entire community to cut, transport, and erect 48 massive logs. This was a living calendar, one that needed to be maintained and rebuilt over generations, proving that a deep understanding of the solar year was not confined to the old world or to stone. Cahokia's Woodhenge stands as a testament to independent astronomical discovery, a sophisticated science born from the needs of a great American city. This drive to harness celestial knowledge is written even more dramatically onto the landscape of the Andes, where an entire mountainside was transformed into a celestial instrument. Perched on a barren Peruvian ridge, 13 stone towers march across the skyline in a silent, precise line. This is Chanquillo, a fortress of time built over 2,300 years ago by a culture that vanished long before the Inca. Its design is breathtakingly simple and profoundly brilliant, a solar calendar carved not into a circular dial, but across the spine of a mountain. From two distinct observing points, one to the east and one to the west, the entire year unfolds along this stone horizon. An observer standing at the western post at dawn would watch the sun rise, its brilliant disk appearing to travel from one end of the towers to the other as the seasons turned. In the heart of June, it would crest the horizon just to the left of the first tower. Day by day, it would shift its rising point, moving steadily southwards until, in December, it rose at the far right end of the line before beginning its journey back. This was a public, undeniable calendar, accurate to within a day or two, that anyone could read simply by watching where the sun appeared. It scheduled everything from the planting of crops to the holding of sacred festivals, synchronizing an entire society with the solar cycle. The eastern observation point served the same function for sunsets, creating a complete solar observatory. The genius of Chanquillo is in its elegant linearity, a stark contrast to the circular monuments of Europe. It proves that the same fundamental need to track time could inspire completely different architectural solutions on opposite sides of the globe. This drive to map the cosmos leads us higher still, into the thin air of the Andes themselves. High on a steep terrace overlooking the legendary city of Machu Picchu, the semi-circular walls of Incarraqui cling to the mountainside. This intimate temple, part of the vast Inca complex, feels less like a building and more like a precise instrument fused with the Andes themselves. Its windows and carefully shaped niches are not randomly placed. They are celestial sights aimed at the horizon with breathtaking accuracy. One opening frames the exact spot where the sun rises on the June solstice, the shortest day of the year in the southern hemisphere. This alignment marked a pivotal moment in the Inca calendar, a turning point where the sun, having reached its furthest northern journey, began its return, bringing with it the promise of lengthening days. But the Incas were not only watching the sun. Another critical alignment targets the heliacal rising of the Pleiades star cluster, that tiny, shimmering group of stars known to the Inca as the Cader or storehouse. In the pre-dawn sky of early June, this cluster briefly becomes visible just before the sun's light washes it away. Its appearance and clarity were anxiously watched, for it served as a celestial forecast. A bright, clear rising of the Pleiades predicted the coming of ample rains and a bountiful potato harvest, the staple crop that sustained the empire. A dim or hazy appearance, however, signaled the threat of drought and hardship. This was not mere superstition. It was a form of practical, observational science, born from generations of correlating celestial events with earthly outcomes. The entire structure of Cahokia, perched so precariously and built with such exacting care, embodies the seamless Inca integration of cosmology, agriculture, and architecture. It was a place where a priest astronomer could read the messages of the gods in the sky and translate them directly into the practical guidance needed to feed a civilization. This profound connection, both empirical and spiritual, allowed the Inca to weave the fabric of their daily lives directly into the tapestry of the cosmos. Another Inca site reveals how this celestial knowledge was scaled to an empire. At the very heart of the Inca Empire lay a temple of unimaginable splendor, the Coricancha, or Golden Enclosure. This was the cosmological axis of their entire world, a physical and spiritual center point from which all sacred energy flowed. Dedicated to Intai, the sun god, its walls were once sheathed in gold, and its gardens gleamed with life-sized sculptures of plants and animals crafted from precious metals. Historical accounts describe golden discs that represented celestial bodies, turning the temple interior into a shimmering model of the cosmos itself. While Spanish conquest left only its stone foundations, the original design reveals a profound astronomical intelligence. Specific windows and niches within the temple were precisely aligned to capture the first and last rays of the sun on the solstices, anchoring the empire's entire ritual calendar to the sun's most powerful moments. But the Coricancha's true genius extended far beyond its walls. From this central point, an invisible web of 41 sacred lines called sects radiated outward across the empire. These sects connected the temple to hundreds of shrines or huacas, organizing the landscape into a vast spiritual and temporal map. This system synchronized the ceremonial cycles of distant communities, weaving them into a single imperial rhythm dictated by the heavens. The Coricancha was more than a temple. It was the ultimate expression of Inca power, a declaration that their rule was divinely sanctioned by the sun itself. This fusion of astronomy, ideology, and architecture created a cohesive identity for a vast and mountainous empire. Far to the north, another ancient culture expressed a similar reverence for the sun, but through a monument of breathtaking earth and shadow. Deep within the arid expanse of Choco Canyon, a great round chamber is carved into the earth. Casa Rinconada is one of the largest great kivas ever discovered, a ceremonial space that held profound significance for the ancestral Puebloan people. This was not a dwelling, but a sacred chamber designed for community gatherings and rituals that connected the people to the spiritual forces of their world. Its architecture is a masterpiece of precision and intent. The entire structure is aligned with the cardinal directions, its walls echoing the fundamental order of the cosmos. But one specific feature transforms this underground room into a sophisticated timepiece. A single, carefully positioned niche in the circular wall acts as a celestial receiver. On the morning of the summer solstice, as the sun crests the canyon rim, a narrow beam of light pierces the darkness of the kiva. This shaft of sunlight travels across the interior to strike a precise point on the opposite wall, a moment of dramatic illumination that would have been witnessed only by those gathered inside. This was not a public spectacle, but a private, powerful confirmation from the sun itself, marking the peak of its power and the turning of the year. The entire ceremony, the chanting, the prayers, would have been synchronized with this cosmic event. Casa Rinconada was not an isolated monument, but a single component in a vast, coordinated landscape. It is connected by clear lines of sight to other great houses and shrines across the canyon, suggesting that the entire region functioned as an immense ceremonial and astronomical complex. The people of Choco did not merely build structures, they engineered an entire environment in harmony with the heavens, a place where architecture, ceremony, and the cycles of the sun were woven into a single, seamless whole. This deep connection between the earthly and the celestial is etched with equal eloquence not in grand architecture, but in the surface of a single, shadowed rock face. Rising dramatically from the floor of Choco Canyon, the solitary form of Ħaġar Butte stands as a natural monument. High upon its sheer cliff face, a secret was carefully placed behind three massive, leaning stone slabs. Here, ancient artists pecked a spiral petroglyph into the rock, a design that would wait centuries for its true purpose to be revealed. This was the site of the sun dagger, one of the most elegant and precise solar calendars ever created. At high noon on the summer solstice, a brilliant sliver of light would pierce the narrow gaps between the slabs, projecting a sharp, dagger-like beam that sliced directly through the very center of the spiral. 6 months later, on the winter solstice, two perfect daggers of light appeared, framing the spiral on either side in a symmetrical embrace. Even the equinoxes were marked with a single blade of light touching the spiral's edge. This was a celestial clockwork of stone and shadow, a calendar so accurate it could pinpoint the 4 pivotal moments of the solar year. The inaccessibility of the site speaks volumes, its location requiring a perilous climb that suggests this knowledge was not for everyone. It was likely the domain of a small group of religious specialists, sky watchers who ascended to this high sanctuary to read the sun's message, and in turn, guide the ceremonial life of the community below. The shifting of one of the slabs in the late 20th century has sadly altered this delicate alignment, a reminder of the fragility of these ancient observatories. Yet Ħaġar Butte remains a profound statement, a place where human ingenuity did not build a new structure, but instead enhanced a natural one, turning a mountain itself into an instrument for measuring the cosmos. This universal human impulse to read the sky connects the deserts of North America to the vast plains of another continent. Across the Atlantic, the legacy of African astronomy is written in stone circles that rival the age of Stonehenge, yet tell a distinctly different story. Long before the pyramids cast their shadows over the Nile, another culture was mapping the stars from the heart of the Sahara. At Nabta Playa in southern Egypt, a stark arrangement of stones rises from the desert floor, a monument built by cattle-herding peoples over 7,000 years ago. This makes it one of the oldest known astronomical observatories on Earth, a complex that predates Stonehenge by millennia. The central stone circle is precisely aligned to the summer solstice sunrise, but its true genius lies in a long line of megaliths that stretches across the sands. This stone avenue points unerringly toward the horizon where Sirius, the brightest star, would have made its first pre-dawn appearance each year. This event, known as the heliacal rising of Sirius, was a moment of supreme importance. For these early people, and later for the Egyptians, it was the celestial herald of the life-giving Nile flood. The appearance of Sirius just before the sun washed it from the sky signaled that the waters would soon rise, bringing fertile silt to the fields and sustaining the entire region. To build a permanent stone calendar that could predict this annual miracle required a deep, generational understanding of the stars. Nabta Playa shatters the conventional timeline of astronomical discovery, proving that sophisticated sky watching was not an invention of grand empires, but a science born from the practical needs of nomadic pastoralists in a once green Sahara. This ancient legacy of celestial observation finds a powerful echo far across the Atlantic, in the heart of Mexico. High upon a flattened mountaintop, the stone platforms of Monte Albon commanded a sweeping view of the Oaxacan valleys. This was the heart of the Zapotec world for over 1,000 years, a city built not for convenience but for power, its very location a statement of dominion over the landscape. Among its grand plazas and pyramids stands a structure that defies the usual rectangular grid, an oddly shaped building known simply as Structure J. Its peculiar arrowhead form, angled sharply away from the city's main axis, has long puzzled archaeologists. Many now believe this was the city's primary observatory, a stone instrument aimed at the heavens. The main axis of this building points unerringly toward the spot on the horizon where the brilliant star Capella would have first risen, marking a significant moment in the annual cycle. Its slanted walls are not merely decorative, they appear to be sightlines targeting other important stars, turning the entire building into a permanent, fixed star chart. For the Zapotec, the most critical celestial event was not a sunrise or sunset, but something that happened right above their heads. Twice each year, the sun passes directly overhead at noon, casting no shadows whatsoever. This zenith passage was a moment of immense power in Mesoamerican belief, a time when the barrier between the earthly and spiritual worlds grew thin. The flat, open plaza of Monte Alban, likely marked with specific stones, would have been the perfect stage to observe this shadowless noon, an event that synchronized their sophisticated 260-day ritual calendar with the solar year. This was not casual stargazing, it was a science deeply woven into the fabric of the state. The city's very layout, with its grand north platform and elongated plaza, is thought to mirror the Zapotec cosmos, a built representation of their worldview. By controlling this celestial knowledge, the rulers of Monte Alban legitimized their authority, presenting themselves as the essential intermediaries between the people and the gods. They used the clockwork of the universe to schedule ceremonies, dictate agricultural cycles, and unify their society under a single cosmic order. This grand urban expression of astronomy finds a more intimate, yet equally profound, counterpart far to the north, where another culture carved its celestial knowledge directly into the living rock of a canyon. The Pyramid of El Castillo stands as a silent symphony of stone and light. At the ancient Maya Toltec city of Chichen Itza, this iconic structure is far more than a temple. It is a breathtakingly precise cosmic engine. Its true spectacle unfolds for all to witness during the spring and autumn equinoxes. As the sun sets on those 2 days of perfect balance, a stunning transformation occurs. The stepped corners of the pyramid cast a series of triangular shadows against the western balustrade of the northern staircase. These interlocking pools of light and shadow connect the temple at the summit with the massive stone serpent heads at the base, creating the undulating body of a great feathered serpent, Kukulkan, slithering down to earth. This was not a hidden secret, but a grand public performance of celestial alignment, a moment that must have united the entire community in awe. The mathematical genius of El Castillo is woven into its very fabric. Each of its 4 sides has 91 steps, which adds up to 364. The single platform at the very top acts as the final step, completing the 365 days of the solar year. This architectural calendar is further layered with the complex cycles of the Maya calendar, including the 260-day sacred round. The pyramid was a physical manifestation of their sophisticated understanding of time, a fusion of astronomy, mathematics, and spiritual belief designed to be experienced by everyone. This public celebration of the cosmos stands in stark contrast to the mystery waiting for us on a remote Pacific island. A city of stone floats upon a turquoise lagoon, its foundations built not on land but atop a coral reef. This is Nan Madol, the Venice of the Pacific, a maze of artificial islets and canals constructed from colossal basalt logs. The sheer effort is staggering, each multi-ton prism of stone hauled into place by a society isolated in the vastness of the ocean. Primary alignments of this city connect to a sacred geography of the sea and islands, a map of spiritual power. Yet, winding through this labyrinth, the long, straight canals may have served a dual purpose. Some researchers propose these watery avenues were more than just transportation routes. They could have acted as celestial sightlines, framing the rising and setting of key navigation stars. For a culture that conquered the largest ocean on Earth, the stars were not just points of light, they were a divine roadmap. The precise orientation of the Grand Tomb, Nandawas, to the cardinal directions further hints at a world view where cosmic order was embedded into the very bones of their architecture. Nan Madol stands as a testament to a different kind of astronomical thinking, one born from the sea, where the patterns of the heavens were a practical necessity for survival and a sacred guide for the soul. This profound connection between the cosmos and human ambition finds a different yet equally majestic expression on the Indian subcontinent. The quiet hills of Brahmagiri hold a different kind of sky story, one told not with towering pyramids but with simple, unworked stone. Across this Indian landscape, Iron Age communities raised dolmens and arranged circles of granite, creating a silent necropolis that feels both powerful and deeply mysterious. While the full celestial code of Brahmagiri remains a puzzle awaiting further study, its very presence speaks volumes. The monuments are not randomly scattered. They are deliberately positioned on this prominent ridge, a place chosen for its sweeping views of the horizon. This careful placement strongly suggests that the builders were doing more than just marking burial sites. They were likely integrating the cycles of the sun and moon with their rituals for the departed. Many contemporary megalithic cultures across India aligned their stone circles with the solstice sunrises or sunsets, weaving cosmic events into their remembrance of those who had passed. At Brahmagiri, standing inside one of these circles at dawn, you can feel the potential for such an alignment, a connection between the world of the living, the memory of the ancestors, and the eternal turn of the heavens. The stones themselves, left rough and natural, create an atmosphere of primal reverence. They hint at a knowledge system now lost, where the movement of celestial bodies gave meaning and structure to life's greatest transitions. This site represents the vast, untapped potential of South Asian archaeoastronomy, a reminder that this ancient science was a truly global phenomenon. Far to the north, another Indian site expresses this celestial connection not through simple stones, but through a breathtaking explosion of intricate art. Göbekli Tepe redefines the very dawn of civilization. Carved from the limestone hills of Turkey over 11,500 years ago, this complex of circular enclosures is the oldest known megalithic structure on our planet, constructed a staggering 6,000 years before the first stones of Stonehenge were raised. Its massive T-shaped pillars, some weighing over 10 tons, stand in silent rings, each one a canvas of intricate artistry. Lions, foxes, scorpions, and vultures are rendered in stunning detail, a menagerie of a lost world frozen in stone. Yet these carvings may be more than just decoration. Pillar 43, famously known as the Vulture Stone, presents a tantalizing puzzle. It depicts a vulture, a scorpion, and a series of abstract shapes that some researchers interpret as a snapshot of the night sky, potentially recording a specific date through the positions of constellations and a symbol for the sun. This theory suggests the carvers were not only master sculptors but also sophisticated astronomers, capable of encoding a celestial event, possibly a comet impact or a dramatic shift in the stars, into their sacred architecture. The entire site appears to be deliberately oriented, with certain enclosures aligned to track significant solar or stellar risings. This presents a profound challenge to our understanding of human history. If hunter-gatherers built Göbekli Tepe, it implies that the drive to come together for massive communal projects, to develop complex symbolic thought, and to systematically observe the heavens may have been the very catalyst that eventually led to farming and settled life. The stones of Göbekli Tepe whisper that our ancestors' first temples were not just places of worship, but the world's first observatories where humanity's oldest science was born from a need to find meaning in the stars. This journey into prehistory now leads us to a vast and silent desert, where another ancient people left their own enigmatic mark on the landscape. Rising in absolute isolation from the sands of the Saudi Arabian desert, Qasr al-Farid presents a facade of breathtaking audacity. Known as the Lonely Castle, this monumental tomb was never finished, its raw, uncarved interior forever sealed within a single rock outcrop. It is a solitary chapter from the Nabatean civilization, the same master builders who carved the rose-red city of Petra. While its primary purpose was as a final resting place, its very existence speaks to a deeper knowledge system. The Nabateans were not just tomb builders, they were genius hydrologists and merchants who controlled vast trade routes across an unforgiving landscape. To cross such distances on a reliable schedule, they needed more than camels, they needed the stars. Their survival and economic power depended on a sophisticated understanding of celestial navigation and timekeeping, using the sun and constellations as a cosmic roadmap. This practical astronomy likely bled into their spiritual beliefs. The orientation of their tombs, including Qasr al-Farid, often carefully faces the rising or setting sun, a possible reflection of solar deities and a belief that the sun's journey mirrored the soul's passage into the afterlife. The sheer, lonely facade stands not just as a memorial to an individual, but as a silent testament to a culture that used the predictable cycles of the heavens to master the unpredictable harshness of the desert. Their celestial knowledge was not an abstract science, but a fundamental tool for survival and prosperity. This thread of practical stargazing weaves us back to the green hills of Europe, where a small, forgotten circle holds its own quiet mystery. The sheer scale of Avebury is almost incomprehensible. A massive circular bank and inner ditch enclose an entire English village, with the largest stone circle on Earth nestled within its bounds. This was not a single monument but a sprawling ceremonial complex, a sacred landscape of stone avenues, mysterious coves, and ancient burial mounds. Unlike the stark precision of Stonehenge, Avebury's celestial alignments feel woven into the very fabric of the Earth itself. Within the southern inner circle, a unique arrangement of three massive stones forms a U-shaped enclosure known as a cove. The open side of this cove frames the southwestern horizon, precisely where the sun would have set on the shortest day of the year. Imagine the significance of that moment as the fading midwinter light was captured within this stone embrace, a powerful symbol of hope in the depth of winter. The two great avenues of standing stones that lead away from the main henge, one to the southeast and another to the south, likely served as grand processional routes. These were not mere paths but ceremonial highways, their journey perhaps timed to the rising of a specific star or the full moon, guiding people through a ritual landscape that connected the heavens to the community's most profound rites of passage. Avebury was a true regional hub, a place where cosmology, society, and the living landscape were one inseparable whole. This grand expression of communal belief finds a powerful contrast in the quiet, focused energy of a much smaller Scottish enclosure. The Scottish landscape holds another key to this ancient celestial language at the Clogher Cairns. Nestled near Inverness, this Bronze Age site feels profoundly different from the stark rings of Callanish. Here, three massive, round cairns of carefully piled stone are each encircled by their own ring of standing stones, creating a small, intimate sanctuary. The entire complex is a masterpiece of intentional alignment, built to honor the most pivotal solar event of the year. The passages into the central chambers do not face a random direction. They point precisely southwest toward the setting sun on the winter solstice. On that shortest, darkest day, the fading orange light would have traveled directly down the stone-lined passage, reaching into the very heart of the tomb. This was not a celebration of the sun at its peak, but a profound gesture of hope at its lowest ebb. The symbolic meaning is powerful, a community reaching out to its ancestors, bringing a sliver of the life-giving sun into the realm of the departed at the moment the world needed reassurance of its return. The surrounding stone circles add further layers of mystery. The stones are not uniform, some are deliberately graded in height, and many are adorned with enigmatic cup-mark carvings, small depressions pecked into the granite whose purpose we can only guess. The entire site is a beautiful, tangible expression of a world where death was not an end, but a part of a great cosmic cycle mirrored by the sun's own journey of death and rebirth. This deep connection between the celestial and the ancestral finds a remarkable parallel far to the south, on a continent where the sun dictated a different kind of cycle entirely. A single, tilted monolith stands sentinel in the South African grasslands, its long shadow sweeping across a field of scattered stones. This is Adam's calendar, a site that ignites fierce debate and captures the imagination. Its proponents see a lost world, a monolithic calendar built by an advanced civilization over 75,000 years ago, a claim that would make it the oldest on Earth by a staggering margin. They point to the central stone, arguing its shadow falls upon specific markers on the flat calendar stone to signal the solstices and equinoxes with precision. This vision paints a picture of profound ancient knowledge in the heart of southern Africa, yet mainstream archaeology tells a different, equally fascinating story. Many researchers attribute these ruins to the Bakoni culture, skilled African pastoralists and farmers who built complex stone settlements here centuries, not millennia, ago. For them, these enclosures were likely kraals for cattle, symbols of status and community centers, with any celestial alignment serving a practical, recent purpose for their agricultural society. This stark clash of interpretations is the true heart of Adam's calendar's mystery. It forces us to confront a fundamental question: how do we distinguish between our romantic projections and the actual intentions of the people who built these places? The passionate debate itself reveals an enduring human truth, our deep, almost innate desire to find grand meaning and cosmic order in the silent stones left by those who came before. Whether the product of a forgotten epoch or a more recent pastoral ingenuity, the site undeniably continues a universal tradition, the use of stone as a permanent link between human life and the cycles of the sky. This quest for meaning in ancient stone leads us to one final European enigma, a circle that holds a secret not of the sun or moon, but of the earth itself. The Externstein rocks tear from the German forest like the bones of the earth itself. This jagged row of sandstone pillars has drawn the human spirit for thousands of years, a natural cathedral imbued with ritual and legend. Carved into the very top of the tallest pinnacle is a small, open-air chamber, a sanctuary reached only by a precarious climb. Its most stunning feature is a man-made window, a carefully crafted aperture in the stone. On the morning of the summer solstice, the rising sun aligns perfectly with this opening. A brilliant shaft of light pierces the chamber, striking a specific, carved niche in the opposite wall in a moment of dramatic celestial theater. This was a deliberate and powerful solar marker, transforming a natural rock formation into a precise astronomical instrument. While debate continues over its original Neolithic use, it was unquestionably a sacred heart for pre-Christian Germanic peoples, a place where the cycles of the sky were woven into their spiritual identity. This deep history, however, carries a sobering lesson. In the 20th century, the Nazis forcibly appropriated the Sternstein, twisting its ancient symbolism to fuel their own nationalist and racist ideology. They saw in these ancient stones a false validation for their beliefs, a stark example of how celestial knowledge and sacred sites can be hijacked and politicized across the centuries. The Sternstein stands not only as a monument to ancient sky watchers, but also as a permanent warning, reminding us that the legacy of these places is as complex and fragile as the alignments themselves. And with this final, powerful enclosure, our journey through 25 mysterious sites comes to a close. Yet the story is far from over. This recurring pattern across continents and centuries points to something fundamental in the human spirit. From the deserts of Egypt to the highlands of Peru, we find the same core principles etched in stone. A universal need to track time for planting and harvest, to schedule sacred ceremonies, and to understand humanity's small place within a vast, orderly cosmos drove these independent innovations. The choice of stone itself is a powerful statement. These communities selected the most permanent material available, investing immense labor to build monuments meant to last for thousands of years, anchoring their celestial knowledge directly into the living landscape. This was not a temporary science, but a legacy intended for future generations. The line between observatory and temple is beautifully blurred at nearly every site. A place like Newgrange was both a tomb and a solstice marker, while the Coricancha was a temple that also functioned as the empire's central clock. This fusion reveals that for our ancestors, the study of the heavens was never a purely secular pursuit. It was a spiritual dialogue with the forces that governed their world. The solstices and equinoxes emerge as the most critical dates in this global calendar. These moments of solar peak, balance, and renewal held such power that cultures with no possible contact all chose to commemorate them with their greatest architectural efforts. What does this tell us? It suggests a shared human cognitive toolkit, an innate drive to find patterns, to predict the future, and to seek meaning in the cycles of nature. We are all, in a sense, descendants of those first sky watchers. This grand, interconnected view allows us to see the bigger picture, transforming 25 mysterious ruins into a single, global story of human curiosity and our timeless desire to read the language of the stars. This global tapestry of stone and sky reveals a hidden history of human genius. Our journey across 25 mysterious enclosures proves our ancestors were not primitive, but pioneering astronomers who built a profound understanding of celestial cycles directly into their world. They did not have our technology, but they possessed something equally powerful: generations of patient observation and a deep desire to find their place in the cosmos. From the solstice beam illuminating Newgrange's dark chamber to the solar towers marching across the ridge at Chanquillo, these structures were complex scientific instruments, each one a permanent record of a culture's dialogue with the heavens. This legacy fundamentally challenges how we view the past. It asks us to see a pile of old rocks not as a ruin, but as a library, a calendar, and a temple all at once. These silent stone teachers remind us that the drive to comprehend the universe is a universal human trait, a shared inheritance that connects us across millennia. They urge us to look up at the night sky with that same sense of wonder, to recognize our own small but meaningful place in this vast, interconnected dance of planets and stars. The stones still stand, holding their ancient secrets. We would love to hear which of these incredible sights captured your imagination the most. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more journeys into the deepest mysteries of our shared history.